Well, that was a smart idea. I was blowing my nose as I came up live. Uh, well, you're gonna watch someone recovering from a lung infection. You're gonna end up seeing something you wanted to not see. You get what I'm saying? All right. Well, it's L Trucker here. I did not sleep well last night. In fact, I did anything but sleep last night. I I woke up. My son has an alarm set to remind him, when it's time to do stuff in the morning, which makes a lot of sense because usually there's nobody here to help him for the last sort of half hour or so. It's just I'm really actually proud of him for figuring out how to do that because being on the spectrum isn't easy to do that. So just want to say good morning, welcome to anyone and everyone that comes by. Al Trucker's having a rough morning. And I thought since I didn't sleep, well, I did. I mean, I must have fallen asleep at some point after 3 in the morning. So technically, I slept for almost 5 hours because I woke up just before 8 local time here, and it's almost 8:30 here. And yeah, I did a lot of nonsense yesterday that I didn't intend to do. I actually intended to go to bed at my normal time, try to get back to my normal schedule, but I did not take my medication yesterday morning, which I realized shortly before. I was actually watching DC's stream pretty late. She was on pretty late, but I was. She mentioned about medication. It didn't remind me because I'd already remembered, but I was like, "Oh yeah, medication is important." She remembered her medication. I actually have a thing that reminds me, and I've been ignoring it because I've been doing a great job at just taking it. And for the first time in probably like a month or more, I just forgot. And I take medication helps me to handle my anxiety and depression, which is it's a double edged sword. Some of those medications can be very difficult to deal with other conditions, especially with my metabolic conditions. But regardless, we shall move on. We shall move on. I've been very busy. I've been bragging about this every morning. I think I'll brag about it again right now. I've been busy making songs with this AI music thing, and I've been having a ton of fun with it. Just an absolute. I've been having a blast with it. So I was I shared a couple of them around, and they haven't taken off as hits or anything, and I wasn't really expecting that they would. But if you like them, certainly please share them around to people. If you don't like them, it's okay to just say, this sucks because of whatever. But I'm having fun making them, and I guess that's probably more important than anything else. And if people enjoy them, the few people that comment they enjoy them, it makes me smile a lot. So if you do enjoy them, please let me know that too, because I just appreciate it. But if you think I'm just missing the mark on something, I'd love to know that too. So, and I talk about this all the time, but I write out lyrics that are my own original lyrics, sometimes somewhat framed on an existing song, and sometimes more along the lines of, what would you say? Sometimes more on like my own creation out of nowhere. It really depends. Um, and I just enjoy writing. I always have enjoyed writing, and probably do more of it as I go along. My intention this morning is to get out here, do a little bit of talking, and then work on some other stuff I got to get going on. One of the fun things that I was able to do um, over the weekend was sort of create some images and a couple of videos, and then yesterday I was able to actually it didn't even take me that long. I think in less than an hour I was able to cobble together a new video. And this one is another anti-MLM one. I'd written this song months ago, had most of it together, and just never really did anything with it. Mostly because I can't sing, and so the AI is great because it puts music on my lyrics, and I just had to figure out like how to portray with some AI art prompts and stuff. I was able to portray, a little bit of a story to go along with my lyrics, which are not they're not majorly a storytelling. It's really what it is I think is important, and I hope that DC will come and stream with me. She threatens to do it every day. You've heard me do it, yes, Ember. I think the first time I ever sang was singing "You Happy Birthday" a while back. Quite a while back now. I've known you for a bit. How are you, lady? It's good to see you. I hope that you're getting some sleep because I think you were working late yesterday. The last time I saw you. But, if you don't subscribe to Ember, you got to get over there and sub to Ember. She's got one of the most fantastic YouTube careers out there, and I don't think she's well enough known for it. But Ember is a great interviewer, a great presenter and creator, a great, just one of the most knowledgeable people out there about science, religion, how they intersect, how they don't intersect, how they're misunderstood. And it's just amazing. You're working late, yes. Yes, I bet you were. I know, I think it was Nitty's channel that was relatively late as it goes. You were at work, and said you were listening from work, which, I know how that is. I wanna get back to doing that, actually. I've been feeling that a lot recently. Yesterday, I mean, maybe not being on my meds made it even worse, but yesterday, my anxiety about not being back to work was terrible. So yeah. Anyway, no, Ember, I mean, the thing is, if like 100 other creators stop making stuff and Ember's still going, a lot of the most important stuff is being said, and that's an amazing thing to say about a creator. See someone like Ember's got a full time job, all that kind of stuff, and yeah. So go support Ember, on her own channel. She's just started up. It was a channel I think you already had, Ember. And if you're at your keyboard and can um, promote your stuff, please by all means post in here, for anybody that's coming from other communities that I intersect with. But yeah, if you like to find out about the trans issues on the transpositions, I hope I'm saying that right. Trans issues and trans news and trans sports and just things that affect trans people. You are, of course, at work. Of course, you are. Yes. Well, you know what? Ember is pretty easy to find, though. If you better than Ember, I think is the main channel. And I'm sure if you type in better than Ember, you're going to find Ember and all her stuff. And if I was half awake right now, I'd figure out how to look it up and send it out there. Regardless, though, please better than Ember.com. Okay, thank you, Ember. Yeah, so better than Ember.com, all one word, no spaces, no punctuation. Better than Ember.com. You know what? I love when Ember comes around. Ember's been on streaming with me. I've been on her channel. It's been a while. We should do something official because I don't think we ever have. But I think people would love to meet and talk to Ember just about what you're up to and what you do, and you do that for so many other people. So maybe that's something people should think about. And my channel's a terrible one for it because I don't have much of an audience, but Ember gets out there and says what needs to be said. And I think one of the things that is great about Ember is that she's helping people understand things that are hard to understand. Like if you're not a person that lives with being a trans person yourself, or you don't know a trans person directly, you might not understand. You may just think, okay, well, I was born with these, these organs, and my reproductive organs are this, and so therefore I am this. I act like this. I dress like this. This sort of thing. And you're brought up in a society where this is the case, and I of course have no clue how to describe what this is, but I do know that I feel the way I do about things. I feel that I am I belong in the body in my gender identity. I do feel like that, right? It's been, yeah, the eclipse. That was great. That was a great one. So that's April. Ember, thanks for bringing that up. That was great. But I just want to get this point out because I think it's very easy for someone like myself who is a cis hetero person to not to not get that some people are born in a body that doesn't quite fit their identity of who they are, who they feel like. And I think some people describe it as being a spectrum, like in terms of gender identity. I think that's probably a good explanation. But we also have like a lot of social constructs and a lot of things that we just expect out of people. We expect sometimes, and we're getting better and better at this as a society, but some people really want to get back to traditions that are, really super arbitrary. They may have once made sense, but I'm not sure that they did. I think there's a lot of things that are not the least bit gender dependent. Um, but I do want to say that as someone who lives in a large body, that I feel comfortable in my body, and insofar as like it's the only one I got. But I do often feel like I might be a different person than the outward appearance I have, in that regard. Like that I'm inside myself, I feel like a strong and independent person. But the outward appearance of me is just this big person, right? Um, yeah, and Ember says rightly here, um, categories are arbitrary tools of convenience, but reality is all a spectrum. Of course, it is. And and the thing is, like, there's so many things in life that don't involve reproductive organs. Reproduction is important for um, continuing our species, but whether or not you specifically reproduce, and I don't mean you, Ember, I mean everyone listening, doesn't mean our species won't continue. And how you interact with the world should be your own thing. At this point, human society is at a point where we don't really need to control each other that much. And I guess the only argument people can come up with is, well, like I have the right to hate and distrust anybody I feel like. Well, yeah, I guess you do. Obviously, nobody's stopping you because look at the world we live in. But Amber's a trans woman. But first and foremost, she's a woman. That's who she is. I have no reason to distrust what she tells me. Why should I? Why should I distrust who she is, how she presents herself? And Yeah, I don't see how it affects me in any way, shape, or form. And the amount of distrust sown around trans people, especially I think because of American politics being what it is, um, there's a lot of people looking for anything and everything they can. They throw it all at the wall. They see what sticks, and lo and behold, people are a little bit distrustful of something they don't understand. So, I didn't come on here to talk about that, but having a wonderful person like Ember here to remind me that trans rates are like on a precipice for no good reason, and they're being pushed over for no good reason other than it's a distraction. A lot of stuff is a distraction, and many people recognize the distractions and they talk about it. I think one of the things that's interesting, um, yeah, well, that's a good point, Amber. I think the distractions are being recognized, and I think what's interesting is I think some people think they know what the distractions are, and everyone else is an idiot, and vice versa. And I guess I could say, okay, these are the things you should be worried about, and people are gonna be like, no, no, man, they've got you thinking wrong, you know. Um, and it's easy to think everyone else is an idiot. But as Ember said, what's in your pants only matters to the people lucky enough to find out. And you know what? That's true. That's true. And I think some people might be curious about this or that, but yeah, honestly, if you're not engaged in some sort of sexual relationship with someone, I wouldn't worry about what's in my pants or anyone else's. I mean, I will worry about what's in my own pants because like I want to make sure I keep surviving. But I'm just looking after my own ass. Mostly euphemistically. Um, anyway, I'm gonna just say that it's important. It's important that we um, respect each other and respect differing opinions. Um, and yeah, no, Amber, like, and I guess like I think I was watching like some late night host making fun of what's going on in the presidential election, and obviously they're going to do that. And um, it's interesting. It's interesting in a way the way things come across. Right? There's this sort of media war, culture war, whatever you want to call it. Um, it's amazing. It's amazing. The stuff I saw on the late night, and you know what? One of the songs I just did was "Quote Mine," which is a song I wrote many months ago. But I put it to the music again, and I just uploaded it, and I played it at the beginning of yesterday's stream. And that was actually one of the things I was going to talk about. So this is a great segue into that to talk about culture war and the way people talk. And I was thinking about it as I woke up. I was thinking about the way religious zealots who want religion and science to be not just sort of coexisting, but to be the same thing. People that talk about being biblical cosmologist, I think, is a term I read last night at some point in my insomnia. But I was thinking it's funny that all the late night hosts seem to be left leaning. Um, but you know, it's amazing to me that they've managed to get Donald Trump has played himself in every satirical take on who he is. And are they quote mining? Sure, maybe. Um, but I tell you, Donald Trump apparently got up and said some really ridiculous stuff. Speaking of what's in people's pants, um, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I believe that they didn't. This was not played by an actor. I believe Donald Trump got up and started making reference to Arnold Palmer's wedding tackle, so to speak. And Arnold Palmer is no longer with us, and he was a very good golfer. There's a drink named after him and all sorts of stuff like that. Pretty famous guy. I guess Donald Trump was in his hometown, which is great. Um, and I'm like, I'm listening to this. I'm like, no, surely this is. But I mean, who would even write this? And he talked about how his teleprompter. He said he wasn't going to read the story about Arnold Palmer off the teleprompter because he wanted to tell the whole story, which was a boring story. The way they presented it. Did they make it more boring on late night? I'm not sure that they did. Anyway, people like I don't know if there's a right wing, like super right leaning, um, sort of late night talk show host. These guys, and they're mostly guys, but these guys get up and just kind of take the piss out of people. So I think I was able to hear Jon Stewart, who does a daily show. Who isn't always on his own show. There's other hosts. There's a female host there too. Actually, she's great. Um, I like her presentation style. I think lots of people do. Obviously, she got the job for a reason. And there's a couple other younger guys there who I don't remember their names. I've only seen them a couple of times. I don't remember anybody's name though, so please don't be offended. All you famous American talk show hosts and characters that watch my show every morning, obviously, because this weird Canadian guy. Gutfeld is right wing. He's crap, but he exists. Okay, well, there you go. There you go. So there is, yeah, and I'm just not watching. And the algorithm doesn't send it to me because they know it's not what I'm into. And that's a problem, right? We shouldn't just listen to what our own mindset is telling us, right? Um, and I guess I'm rambling a little bit like Trump did, but I don't think it's appropriate necessarily to talk about a dead golfer's genitals when you're trying to, you know, push your well thought out agenda for running the country, which another person pointed out. And I think this might have actually been in a news program that I watched, but um, I don't know what Trump's actually promising people. I mean, it kind of looks like his main thing is um, he's not the toxic, terrible, um, absolutely going to tank the entire country. Democrats who've been running it for 4 years. Who, I mean, I don't know. Amber, is your country dead? Because I mean, a lot of people there seem to be like getting up in the morning, going to work, and doing the same shit they did every other day, no matter who's been in charge. Because who's in charge doesn't really matter as much as people pretend it does. But if it's someone is, you know, I don't, I mean, they call themselves conservatives, but like, is there such a thing as being radically conservative? And I also think like Donald Trump isn't anything except he's Donald Trump. He's for Donald Trump, and he's gonna, he'll repay his debts, um, probably in the worst possible ways. Am I being super cynical? Am I saying things I have no founding for? I don't fucking know. But you know, I don't trust him. You've been in rough shape since Trump, but slowly getting better. Well, but that's Amber. Don't you think we could spin that as that's just because people know he's coming back? Um, it's always like it's always easy to just blame the most recent pandemic that shut down the entire economy of the entire world. But all politicians do that. You know, that's just you hear that all the time. His plan is large fries for all. Yeah, I saw, and that was one of the things they had on late night talk. Um, is like just showing him handing out French fries and stuff. Um, there's been a lot of sort of really weird photo ops from JD Vance. I think has done a few weird ones, and Trump has definitely done a few weird ones. I guess people like it. I mean, it's certainly entertaining as fuck. Like, I laugh my ass off sometimes. I'm like, we know everything is Obama's fault. Jesus died because of Obama. Yeah, well, yeah, fucking. And bringing Jesus into it is just wild. Hey, Sumami, good morning. Yeah, bringing Jesus into politics doesn't make sense to me. It's not something we hear about in Canada as much. People know to leave religion at home or at your church, temple, um, whatever you go to. And I'm going to talk about this quote mining thing because I was thinking about it yesterday. As usual, my mind is just a series of tangents, which is good because you can see the globular shape of my dome here. It's shining in the light here. Vermin Supreme should be present. I don't know who that is, BMZ, but good morning. The quote mining thing that I see amongst flat Earth sort of proponents and religious proponents, and I think even like it's used in politics too, right? Like you take a clip of somebody saying X, they really said Y, but they take out that important thing. BMZ, let me tell you something. As someone who has a horse in my family, ponies aren't free. Um, a free horse is instant bankruptcy. That's all I can tell you. Even if it is a pony, ponies just eat a little bit less hay. Um, and yeah, I'm gonna try not to go bankrupt from horse ownership, but man, it's a lot. Anyway, it's not my biggest problem right now. I got to get back to work because when I'm working, we can make everything work. All right. Bottom line is this. This is what I got to do. I'm gonna talk about quote mining because I wrote a song about it, and I was thinking I should do this with a bunch of examples where I like draw out the example and stuff, but I'm just gonna bring out. I remember some of the common ones that I see, and I'm just gonna. This is a recommendation to people that have points to make. Read the whole thing. I'm done. Read the whole thing, present the whole thing, and argue against the whole thing. Um, a gumboot on his head. Where's a gumboot on his head? I think you're. I think Beamsy's saying that. I think Beamsy's saying that somebody's wearing a galosh on their head. Assuming that if you have a pair of galoshes, one of them is a galosh. I don't even know if people still have galoshes. And as someone who lives in Canada, I can tell you, galoshes are the dumbest footwear ever. Wearing footwear that doesn't come up to your ankle bone and covering it with a piece of rubber is not going to do you any fucking good at all here. You might as well leave all of that shit at home and just put your fucking boots on. But that's from one heavy haul trucker to everyone else in the fucking country. Just wear boots from now. Basically, the weather's nice in the east, but yeah, it snowed last night in Calgary and area. So here's my advice to you: put your fucking boots on. You're gonna need them until May. You're welcome. I wear boots 24 months of the year. It's 24 months for me because I work such long hours. Look on my Discord. Okay. All right. Beamsy's probably sent me what this is. Here we go. Lots of people probably sent me stuff. Oh. Gumboot it's a rubber boot. It's a rubber boot. Okay. I got it. Oh, this guy here. Vermin Love Supreme, 60 or 61, is an American performance artist and activist who's run a novelty candidate in various local states, elections in the United States. He serves as a member of the Libertarian Party's Judicial Committee. Supreme is known for wearing a boot as a hat and carrying a comically large toothbrush. Okay, well, awesome. I didn't know that. I actually thought you were making a funny reference to the hairdo of one of the candidates running, which could be anybody, really. All right, well, this is the thing that I hear people saying all the time. You get someone like Witless, working 100 plus hours makes it feel like weekends are a month apart. Yeah, Ember, you know the pain, right? Yeah, so like on the books work for truckers here is 70 hours in 7 days. And I often get pretty close, but then there's all the time you put into everything else. They passed a law requiring people to brush their teeth. He's campaigning a platform of zombie apocalypse awareness and time travel research. Promised a free pony for every American. Awesome. Well, you know what? Nothing would bankrupt your country sooner. To the Americans, I know there's 2 Americans here talking. There may be other Americans. It looks like, I mean, if the chat counter's anything, but if you're looking at something that somebody says and you zip past the meaning behind it, or you just take a chunk of it, and you're meaning to sort of steer people the wrong way, then you're just on the wrong path to honest interlocution. You're not having a conversation that makes sense. Oh. Oh fuck. Tsunami's having a problem with Pillsbury. Can somebody get the Doughboy on the phone? Pillsbury Doughboy, you're needed in Florida. Apparently you fucked up all your dough. All right, and your name is Doughboy. All right. Well, that was that wasn't a quote mine, but and there's cinnamon rolls. And I mean, let's face it, people, cinnamon rolls are fucking important. And what I'm saying isn't. But Austin Whitsitt in particular does this all the time. And it's hard to say. It's hard to say, in my mind, why it is that Witless is lying to people about things he either doesn't understand or understands perfectly and thinks if he just spins them a certain way, it'll work that way. Let me tell you what doesn't change about the world is this. You're never gonna change the realities of the universe by telling people that don't understand it that it's something that it isn't. So he says the ether exists because of this, that, and the other thing. And one of the common ones he goes into is this. I should have brought a clip because having him say it would be so much better. But he says because Einstein says, well, that like there's no known optical test, and they can't see how one is. When he says that Einstein said this, basically saying that there's no way to tell the Earth is in motion is what he gets at. He says this over and over again, and he reads this quote, and he doesn't understand what's actually being said. Is that at that time, this type of test isn't going to show you this or that. He then goes on to say, and I'm pretty sure I've heard MC Toon say it so many times. I'm pretty sure what he says, and I should really look it up, but it really doesn't matter because he leaves it out. Leaving this out is the point. My point isn't this specific quote, but he goes on to say, but as like we know that, of course it is moving, and we know this is happening. Um, and then he goes on this sort of tirade about how interferometry doesn't say what it says. And of course, we can all thank Bob for showing us how that works. And the two aren't entirely related or unrelated. It's a bit of a complex thing. And I'd love to do an interferometry show. I think it would help me understand it more. Even more than I do. I do understand what interferometry is fairly well. I've read up on it. I've seen many videos. I've talked to Dr. Tapioca Weasel to make sure I do understand it. So I'm not just telling myself I get it. Yeah, Sumami, that's why I'm a hoe. I'm not equipped to work more than 30 hours a week. Well, let me tell you, the hoes I move work way more hours than that, but that's neither here nor there. The union ones probably don't work too much. He gets really upset. This is Witless. Beamsy's talking about Witless, I'm pretty sure. Or it's this vermin person that's running sometimes in the US. He gets really upset when I congratulate him for raising his wife's boyfriend's child. Um, I don't even know if that's true or not, but man, that guy is. I mean, the main thing about Willis is he is he's a terrible human being. He's a racist piece of shit. So yeah, and you know what, Tap and I talk a fair bit, and we both have schedules that don't work that well due to being in different time zones and stuff. And he's already on the BSS show, and he is doing this cold atom work in California. So he is kind of busy. But I am trying to wrestle him onto the show and have a good conversation about some science stuff. He is his wife's boyfriend. It's not a wrong statement. Well, there you go, Beamsy. You're being what's the word I'm doing? You're being pedantic, but it's antagonistically pedantic. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand where that man gets his views on, and it's hard to say. I think a lot of people think he's just a piece of shit, and I think it's fair to say he's not a good person. You're being obtuse. Yes. Well, some people would say you're being acute, or trying to be cute, but yes, I guess it is obtuse. It depends on what angle you're coming at it from, right? That was a geometry joke for anybody that didn't get it. I'm sure y'all did. I'm going to end the show fairly shortly. I realize a lot of people some people do, BMZ, but some people don't. It depends. Depends on who you're talking to. I think the Atheist Morning Show is coming on soon, and I don't want to stop people from seeing that because they're here watching what I have to say. So, I do want to. The reason I bring it up is because I want to caution people when they're listening to somebody say something is that if they're quoting somebody and they're saying, this person said this, have you looked at everything they said? Now, when it comes to Donald Trump, I've listened to a bunch of the clips. He definitely said out of his own mouth some weird shit about Arnold Palmer. I don't know how you take that out of context because I don't know what context that would make any sense in. I honestly think that maybe I know there's only a couple of weeks left, but maybe they should find a new candidate. Oh, Chris is live. Okay, well he can wait. Okay, well let him wait then. I mean, I don't know. Chris is probably talking about some great stuff, and I enjoy listening to his show. I've been in the mornings has been the only time I've had energy to do this. At least to be like on talking. And I feel like I'm doing a pretty shitty job of it this morning. But I do want to, like, when I think of it, like I make this music video about the quote mine. It's like, what does that mean? It's when people take something or a piece of something and they say, see, this person said this, right? Um, I think that's important. It's important to understand what it is that I'm saying and what that really gets at is like when you clip out one thing a person says because you think it tells the story you want to tell, you then end up in a situation where you're lying by omission, most importantly, but you're doing yourself a disservice because anyone that knows the topic will realize that what you've said is just wrong. Either you're obfuscating or hiding what's going on by not telling the whole truth to the people that are listening to you, or you're mixing in what you want said by just showing the part of it that you like or that you think backs up what you want to say. And the number of people I see doing this and getting called out on it and doing fuck all about it is a little bit terrible. Um, I want to just sort of wrap the show up on that note and just say that if you're listening to somebody who always has all the answers and never questions anything and never looks deeper into things and presents things and makes proclamations like, yeah, this is just the way it is. It's time to open up and so yeah, like there are people that are trying to hide the truth from you. There are people that don't want you to know everything, and they're oftentimes they're the ones that are talking about it the most. Now, I received a comment on something a while back on my channel. I did not like it. I did not dislike it. I did not comment back on it. It's the only comment I've ever not reacted to. Um, and Beamsy has some pedantic and whatever about the American election. I don't know whether he's right or not. Honestly, if I was in the US, I would vote for a turnip over Buddy there. But what do I know? It's not my country, not my election. I'm hoping that my neighbors will not be run by that specific piece of shit. I know that politics is full of not great people. Politics, by its very nature, gets that way. Um, I'm not going to go into that, Beamsy, but please, if you're in the U.S. and this matters to you, please check out the way it should go. Um, because Beamsy's bringing up about how the electoral college and stuff works, about how the vice president should go in this way or that way or whatever. Anyway, it's not really what I want to talk about right now. That's the thing. But I don't want to ignore what you're saying, Beamsy. I think there probably are some interesting and possibly major points in there. But this guy said to me, I should read it. I can't find it. But he basically says, if you can't see that there's like deception and deceit all around you in 2024, you're missing what's going on. Like my response was going to be, yeah, buddy, I see it. I see who's lying to me. It's not people telling me the earth is a globe. And in fact, I don't need people to tell me the earth is a globe. I can go check for myself. That's the thing. And it was a response to a video I did on this piece of shit. I won't even say his name again, but there was a piece of shit out there who's been arguing with people. And in particular, Reiki50, he's an flat earther who was recently on Fight the Flat Earth show, Craig's show. Did a great interview that he posted with her. I think the interview was maybe pre-recorded. He's done a bunch of shorts too. If you want to not put a whole hour or two into however long, I think it might be an hour and a half long interview. I've listened to a bunch of it. And Rachel's come by the show a bunch of times too. As in the side chat, she's great. I've also seen her over at Slim's side chat. But most importantly, she's a person that went out and found out for herself what's going on. She listened to people and thought, yeah, this makes sense, and then thought that for a couple of years and worked it through, and then one day realized, wait a second, the people that are lying to me are not the people that study science and stuff. They're the people that are twisting it around. And a lot of times that's what happens in flat earth. And flat earth is easy to laugh at, but the people in flat earth who are also conspiracy theorists and nut jobs and major sympathizers to World War II German leading parties and stuff like that, the mustachioed man of the 30s and 40s. Those people, those people aren't good people. I know it's a very, very controversial thing to say that people who are not um, a certain skin tone, a certain religious background, cultural background, are all, and a certain sexuality, etc. That they're not good people. Um, that's just bullshit. And people that live in the modern world know it's bullshit. And people that can't deal with that are bullshit people. And that was one of the reasons I brought up Witless, because Witless is a person. And when I say Witless, I'm talking about Austin Whitsitt, who is a flat earther or slash geocentrist, who's apparently going to go on this final experiment thing, which is a thing about the flat Earth. But really, when you get down to what the bottom line is about flat Earth, it's about people lying to other people for their own gain, to control, for power and control too, right? It's not just about money. People are like, "Oh, it's just," maybe someone like Flat Earth Dave Dearth. Maybe he just wants money, because I don't think he gives a shit about anything. I don't think that guy. I don't think that guy has the brain power to give a shit about anything. He's got some sort of like a Bitcoin style thing, and not to put down Bitcoin. Bitcoin might be a thing, but the cryptocurrency he's got is garbage. Um, and he's got like this app and stuff. But you take someone like Witless, who's constantly pumping out garbage. MC Tune had a link that I listened. I listened to Witless go on saying some like what I find to just be atrocious things. And I want to point out, like, you're going to be attracted to the people you're attracted to in life, and you should not be steered one way or another by the opinions of someone like Witless. And he said some like just terrible, terrible shit. In particular, about interracial marriage, and but specifically in terms of like interracial breeding. And I mean, let's face it, races don't really exist. We have different amounts of melanin in our skin, and the rest of it's just a social construct. And I can only imagine going back, you know, maybe 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years, someone with my skin tone walked into like a place in, the middle of Africa. People would probably think my skin color was pretty fucking weird, right? I'm sure that's the case. And people aren't used to seeing people that are like tremendously different than them. People probably find my red beard very strange in certain regions of the world. So fucking what? I'm a little different than some people. And when I'm in my own neighborhood, I look like a lot of other guys. And one of the reasons I'm here saying the things I'm saying, whether you agree with them or not, is neither here nor there to me. But if you're a person that hates people because of the way they look, or because the way you think they worship God or don't worship God or whatever is going to somehow affect you in your life, you got it wrong. And unfortunately, big fat motherfuckers like me are somehow associated with hatred and distrust and boneheaded points of view. And I'm sad to say that Austin Whitsitt also has a red beard and is a white dude. He's a skinny little fucker, but other than that, we share these like very basic, very surface level physical attributes. I have no idea what Beamsy and Lord Dissident are talking about, but welcome, Lord. Welcome, Lord. Your Lordship, Dissident. The Coneheads versus the Flatheads. Jen Salter has a flat ass. I don't know what that means. As an ass man myself, I will say that I do appreciate a round ass. But my particular preferences for donkeys and other beasts of burden has nothing to do with my opinions on trying to lie to people for whatever reason. And I'm not lying to you when I tell you that you should use your own fucking brain. Think really hard about who's telling you what and why they're telling you that. I saw this number one ass on the internet 3 years running. Is she in the 4-H club, Beamsy? That was a farmer's joke. Second joke I've said today. The first one was a geometry joke. It is damn. Damn. 4-H. Yeah, 4-H club is in Canada and the US. I don't know if it exists anywhere else. Young farm kids and other kids can do it too, I think, but young farm kids can raise livestock or crops and stuff for and enter them in contests. Because I live out in the country, some of my kids' friends are farmers' kids. And they live on farms and they do 4-H shit. I don't know where the 4-H club. There's 4-H club and there's Future Farmers of America is in the U.S. There's probably some other. I know there's an agricultural society here that's local, and I know there's like an Ontario one, which is the province I live in. Lord Dissident was in the 4-H club. Well, there you go. My son was looking into it as a fun thing to do. There's a reason you're the way you are and Whitsett is the way he is. So, mommy, you're the way you are. I'm gonna say it's about miscegenation. I don't know how to pronounce that word, and I can pronounce some big fucking words sometimes. Miscegenation. Miscegenation. I don't know. I don't know what that is. Like I'm trying to think it's like a related to misogyny, but I'm not sure that's right. And I also realize like spell check and autocorrect fuck shit up. So Sumami, if you're still listening, by all means clarify. But yeah, no. Whitsett is he's a piece of shit human being, unfortunately. And you know, he's a father, he's a husband slash boyfriend, as Beamsy points out. Um, I really think it's terrible to raise people with this type of attitude, you know. And I'm gonna take a call really really quickly because I think she's gonna tell me something's in or out. Hello. Yes. Yes. Oh, awesome. That's excellent. I'll come pick it up in a little bit. Probably in the early afternoon because I have an appointment out that way. Great, thank you. Okay, bye. My pinion seal is in. Now I have to put it in the rear end. We had all sorts of fun laughing about that on Slim's channel last night. And I don't know if not everybody is going to enjoy Slim's channel. It's a little bit raunchy. It's a little bit out there. We had a chat about Trump last night. Probably got me thinking about it too. We'd all we'd all end up inbred and brain dead. Yeah. But you know, I actually I'm gonna have to look up what that word is, Sumami. But I think yeah, this inbred. Like I don't know whether Whitsett is inbred or not. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I think that's the thing. Is like when you just keep in your very insulated culture, it could fuck things up. Um, I started watching this show. This is a really weird tangent to go on, but you know, what do humans like better than talking about weird sex shit? Um, oh, Lord Dissident. Okay, I want to point this out too before and there's a Persian guy from 300 years. I think you mean 300 AD. Was talking to monks. He's dropped on the head. Um, Dali. I don't. Slim is fun. Is less so. Okay, Ember. I don't know which regular it is. That's a problem. But I have a feeling I know who it is. It's Al Trucker. No, I think I know who it might be. And there's a couple of people there that are strange. The movie 300. Oh, okay. I've never seen that. I've never seen that movie. I've never seen that movie. Okay, I have to watch that, I guess. But yeah, Slim's fun. Slim's actually a pretty cool guy. And I'm gonna have to check into that because there's one person there who I have some issues with sometimes. And I haven't been there a lot because it's been bad for my schedule. But there's some people there I really enjoy. And there's a couple of people there who I have weird thoughts about, but I also like to give people a little bit of slack and a little bit of room to say and figure out what's going on. Um, Ember, if you don't mind, when you're not working, can you drop me a little note? Because I'd like to know what's going on over there. Because I enjoy hanging out at Slim's and the conversations we have. Um, who the fuck is that? I'm wondering. Um, Sexual relationships or reproduction between people with different ethnic groups. Oh, when one of them. Okay. Well, so Witless went on a tirade about that. And I don't want, like, I mean, is it unfair of me to bring that up and, forget about all the wonderful things he's done? Um, I don't want to paint Witless in a bad light because, like, he's done some wonderful things. He's pointed out to the world that he thinks he's an idiot and that the world is flat. He's pointed out to people that he doesn't understand general or special relativity. He's pointed out to people that he is basically a neo-Nazi and considers the white race to be something that needs to be kept pure. He said all that out loud somewhere. So it's pretty important to bring all that up. Anyway, and I am very much wanting to make sure when we talk about like quote mines, that we keep in mind that a lot of these people, if you keep on quoting them, you get the result that you're trying to explain. And if I keep on quoting Whitsitt, I'm gonna paint the picture. Beamsy says he does the painting for himself. Maybe that's where I got that idea. Because my eyes wander over to I should not read the side chat. I should do my own thing. Laws do apply to sovereign citizens. Indeed, Ember, they do. He's painted a portrait of himself. Absolutely. Whether Beamsy's talking about Willis or somebody else, that he's a racist piece of shit. He's not a very good critical thinker, or he's trying to do whatever he can to obfuscate the truth and steal money from people, or he has some other agenda in mind, and maybe he just likes the power of it. And he's also pointed out in going in many conversations that rather than make coherent arguments and back himself up, he points out what he thinks are fallacies in someone else's argumentation and doesn't let them speak properly. So there you go. He's pretty bullshit person. Sumami's talking about the insulation of cultures. Few cultures are really that insulated, though. There's the occasional shitsit in the population that wants to inbreed and is big on nationalism. Yes, I think shitsit is a synonym for witless. He's a giant troll. Thinks he's always the smartest person in the room by far. Unfortunately, he's usually correct, but not always. Yeah, when he's in a room, flat earthers, he may be the smartest flat earther. The thing is, he'd have to divide his proclaimed IQ in two, and he'd still probably be there in some cases. Some flat earthers are just really misinformed about things, and they believe people that they give authority to, and they think because they do that we take things on authority, like that. Like the reason I think the Earth is a ball is because somebody told me it is. But I've looked at a tremendous amount of evidence, and once I found out flat earthers exist, I already knew like 8 different ways the Earth wasn't flat, and then I started looking at even more. I'm like, holy fuck! Like I don't know how they're still arguing this. So it's really mad at being told they're once. And this isn't okay. So Lord Dissident, people all come from Africa, so it does appear that all sort of hominins. There's hominins and hominids, and I know Erica's one of my biggest fans and is watching right now. I'm sorry, Erica, I can't remember the difference. I'll have to look it up. But upright, sort of walking bipedal apes. I believe we've traced them all back to Africa as far as we know. I mean, we could find out something new one day. I don't know. Like Antarctica is completely covered in snow and ice. So is a lot of the Arctic. We could potentially. I don't think it's likely because they've looked for stuff and found it in certain areas. But I don't think that people are. I don't think that people are going to find something new and different because we've searched on lots of other continents, and we haven't found the earliest hominids anywhere but Africa. So it makes sense that they originally developed there and spread out. I'm willing to believe that's the case until somebody finds out something different, and it really doesn't matter, other than as Sumami and Ember have pointed out, there's like some really sort of bad takes people have because they want to be smart, they want to be in charge, and they also the people that are afraid of blackness. And this is I'm as Wayne said, I think is that BTF Wayne Sumami who is a great person. Um, oh, this is interesting, Sumami. I'm gonna bring that up. Okay, so I'm gonna post up what Sumami said here. I think a huge amount of people, even outside of the West, react negatively to that because of the correlation with being black. Whereas Wayne said they're afraid of blackness. Well, and and this one here, Sumami is talking about Witless. Um, That's why I'm assuming this is Witless. That's why he seems to glitch out in debates. He's used to speaking to his more audience that are even more ignorant than he is, and he enters the debate and sees the chat. He bugs out. Yeah, I usually call Witless in if I'm in a side chat and watching Witless in a debate. I call him Witless. My autocorrect. The one thing my autocorrect has figured out, you can't type Sumami's name properly. My autocorrect knows to type Witless whenever I'm trying to say wit shit shitwit. Anyway, whatever the fucking guy's name is, Austin. Um, and B says they show the Earth. They try to show the Earth flat, and then said, "Oh, that is interesting. Yes, indeed." And Lord Dissident had said it's funny all attempts to prove the Earth is flat prove otherwise. Yeah, and if you're into this stuff and want to see really in-depth content, people like Dave McKeegan, who's going to the final experiment, MC Toon, I think, is trying to self-fund himself to go there. It'll be interesting to see this thing. Like I'm kind of looking forward to December just to see what happens. And in December, I'll be done the first sort of like big push of the fellowship. I'll probably still do some work on it, and hopefully I'll be like back working fully and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's a lot going on. I started the show saying I'd forgotten my meds yesterday. I'm sort of like I felt really uneasy yesterday in the evening, and I was having trouble breathing and stuff, which was freaking me out. But this morning I'm feeling a bit better. So I did a lot of puffers last night. That may actually be the reason I had trouble. I had trouble speaking. The Fellowship of the O-Ring. You know what, BMZ? I have like a whole red box of O-Rings that I have kept, and they've come in handy for so many things. Gotta say, O-Rings are awesome. And yeah, no, Sumami, I think you're right about Witless. He can't handle speaking to an intelligent audience, although he professes wanting to. And people like Rob Parks, who's a great educator, really does some great, interesting channels and speaks eloquently and is erudite on matters of physics and astrophysics and astronomy. And I really enjoy his program. And the people over at his Discord server are all lovely people. It's a small community of smart people talking about fun stuff and smart stuff. Rob Parks' community should probably be bigger than it is, and his show should be bigger than it is. But he entertained Witless. My buddy Tap, and I don't think it's a secret that Tap and I are good friends. Like we've talked about Witless, and he Tap was never more pissed off than when Witless is trying to misuse and misrepresent the science that his grandfather discovered, and the device he discovered and how it works. Well, he discovered an effect and built equipment to test and experiment with it. And he does not think highly of Witless, but he entertains having conversations with flat earthers because he's interested in how they get their opinions. And I was talking yesterday about Mr. Slave, who Dr. Tapp had a conversation with, which ended in him being pretty unimpressed with Mr. Slave's way of thinking. And Mr. Slave is he's probably a smarter person than a lot of others that get involved in this. And so it's interesting is he understands a bunch of stuff. He's not a flat earther, for instance. He thinks it's ridiculous that people think the earth is flat, but then he glitches into not understanding that there are some things in science that are not fully understood, and that him making a claim about it doesn't make it true. And that was the conversation I had, and I should look it up and link to it. People might or might not enjoy seeing me have a conversation with an ether cosmologist, I guess he is. We didn't get to the end of it. I'm willing to go talk to the guy again, because I don't think he's like a hateful bastard. I think he's misinformed and has a weird Is it epistemology? Anyway, his one of the things he says, and this sort of goes with quote mining, because if someone has this opinion, quote mines are going to work for them more. Now, I'm not saying, I want to be clear on this. I'm not accusing Mr. Slave of doing a quote mine because I haven't seen that. I'll look for it just in case, but um, I worry about someone like this who doesn't like things that he doesn't understand with just English language, for instance. That's not what science owes you. And that's one of the problems, when they're talking about some of these folks that are trying to make a living off of telling you things that are untrue, that are using quote mines to tell their stories. They are, they're using your ignorance against you, and the idea that you're not going to go check for yourself. I think is the basic thing. But when you go check for yourself, with things about cosmology in particular, things about like Big Bang cosmology, what we know about it up to this point. There's a lot there, and there's a lot that requires a lot of math. I said puffers, Sumami, for asthma and my lung, but the recovery of my lungs. So, I think you know this, Sumami, but I'll say this again. I had in early August, I caught an infection. It became a pneumonia in both of my lungs, and as of my last X-ray, which is a couple of weeks ago, at the beginning of this month, I guess, I got they found that one of my lungs was still partially collapsed, and the other lung is full of stuff. Um, and yes, Lord, I'll get into that in a second, Lord. It's a funny thing. It's almost as funny as flat Earth, except that it's for flat earthers with an IQ of 81, um, instead of 79. So, um, yeah, I'm recovering from this. So yes, I'm taking my puffers, and I'm taking more puffers than usual. So, um, and for people that don't know, puffers have chemicals in them that will help open up your lungs, but they can also make you kind of restless, and they can cause insomnia and in sort of hyperactivity. My son, when he has a puffer, is hard to settle down, and the way it manifests in a 13-year-old boy versus a 48-year-old boy like myself is a little different. But I basically couldn't sleep last night, and so now I'm on my computer ranting about ether cosmology. Um, so one of the ones is steroids, but the one that I'm taking isn't steroids. One of the ones my son takes is, but there might be still a bit of a steroid in one of them. I should look that up. Um, I'll look up a bunch of stuff later. The thing I'm most excited about is that my pinion seals come in. So that means I'm going to get a chance to work on my truck tomorrow. I can put my truck back together. That'll be the most important thing. Yeah, Witless cannot do math after he runs out of fingers. Well, this is the thing. So like, when you get into and I'm not claiming to fully understand every aspect of the math myself. I'm working on learning the maths myself. I'm going back to school. I hope at some point in my life in the next couple of years. I think I'll probably have to remain a trucker to my retirement. Like I don't think I could make money doing this, but I'm really interested in it. I'm hoping I can keep reading up and working on it. And I don't know if I would do any work in science, but I'd love to know more about it. So I'm planning to go to school, hopefully for astrophysics. And I know Zach wants to be told when I'm doing an astrophysics talk, which isn't today. Today, oh, I wasn't expecting to wake up this way. Anyway, I will send Zach a message and we'll do an astrophysics talk because he wants to have one. But yes, Amber, you're right. She's got a point. Bold of you to assume we drivers ever get to retire. Yes, the only retiring we got to do is putting a new set of retreads on the truck and heading it back out on the road. That's a trucker's third joke of the day. So, um, unfortunately, not everything in the world is funny. Um, but I've been writing a lot of these sort of funny songs and taking things not seriously. But the thing I do want to take seriously is that people that are out there trying to like skew your mind on like basic shit. It's an interesting study on the human mind. If you can tell somebody something that's absolute bullshit and have them believe it, and have them believe furthermore, more importantly, that scientists don't know how to check each other's work. Like this is the thing that doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, the maths that are involved in how the universe works, point out problems. And so what scientists say is, well, we have and they call them tensions, I think, right? Where like one theory and another theory don't quite work with one another. So we have a few places where this happens, and it means we need to learn more. Okay. This is what I want you to, if you're a flat earther or you're an ether cosmologist or you're somebody that like says, well, there is a frontier of science. I talked about this the other day. I was talking about the fan of science and how you open it up. And as you open it up, it doesn't just spread out and you don't just see what's in all the nooks and crannies. But as you get out to the edge, like you almost have to keep pulling it out, right? You have to keep stretching it out and stretching it out because there's more and more and more. I mean, and the breadth of what can be looked at becomes wider and wider. It takes more and more people to drill into the details at that leading edge. So, like, if you flatten it out, if you will. All right. Yeah, you know what, Ember? We'd love to have you come and talk about astrophysics and all that stuff because we do know that is your favorite flavor of asteroids. Um, or maybe it's probably of your favorite flavor of what the fuck is it? Physics. That's it. Science and physics. Ember, I hope they get you in the dock soon and unload you quick. Or maybe I can't remember if you're like doing dropping hooks. I can't remember. Ember, you can let us know at some point. But good luck with whatever it is. I think Ember's changed jobs a few times in the last number of months, and I can't remember what she's hauling now. Doesn't really matter though. She's out there working. Trucking's a fun gig some of the time, but some of the shit you go through is a pain in the ass. So the point that I'm making, and I keep on going on tangents because that's just the way my mind works. And if you're not into tangents, you should not be here. I'm talking to you, Bev, and also you, Oakley. You don't understand it. You don't have the brain power. So what are you gonna do? Yeah, if she's hauling livestock, she might be hauling asses. You never know. Donkeys are. I don't know. I don't know if I'd rather be kicked by a horse or a donkey. I've had horses try to kick me a few times, but I've always moved a little quicker than they have. It's not something I can always say. The idea that physics and science owes you an easy explanation isn't true. That's the basic thing. When it comes to science, it's hard. The further you get into it, the more detailed it gets, the more math there is. And there are things that are super complex that are almost impossible to understand because there's so much to it. Like just so many little nooks and crannies in it. Like so in biology in particular and psychology, these are things where like research seems to like not go very far very fast because there's so many things to it. And a lot of people are working on it because I think there's a lot of money to be made in keeping people alive and having better lives. People will pay money for that. That's one of the things. You've been kicked by one of your horses, Lord, is kicked. Yeah. Well, and Lord, if you're an equine person, I am because I'm married into an equine family, which is how we ended up having a horse. My daughter's a horseback rider, English style riding, and she was a competitive rider for a while. She got hurt. She's getting back at it, and it's something that she's passionate about, and I'm pushing hard for. And good morning, Zach. Don't worry, Zach. I'm not doing the astrophysics show. I'm talking about physics in general. Because I was talking about quote mines. That's kind of where I'm going. My title wasn't very good. Although if you're a fan of the number 42, you might get the reference and the cute little artwork I got at AI totally by happenstance yesterday. But I was like, that's Zaphod Beeblebrox's sister. If I ever saw her. Don't know her name. Or their names. I'm not sure how that works. Anyway, I got that picture where there was two heads on one body. I thought that was pretty great. Okay. Thanks, BMZ. You sent me a note about this buddy here. No, I'm talking about physics, not psychics. Just physics. So, but I'm talking about science in general. Science is complex, and we've been working on science for so long that like The sort of big, like, eureka moments are something mostly in the past, although we'll probably still have some more. Um, but they might be a little bit harder to understand as we go forward because it becomes very specialized and it becomes very math heavy when you start trying to get theoretical physics moved ahead to the point that we can then figure out what would an experiment look like. And so we have some people saying, and I don't know whether they're right or wrong because I'm not educated enough on the subject to say, and I don't want to take people out of context here, but we have people saying that maybe like some of the research we're doing isn't going anywhere and we should find a different path for research to figure things out. And then also like where will this take us? But the important thing is that you don't dismiss what other people do because you don't understand it. And if you dismiss it because somebody told you that a person said A, B, or C, but you don't know that they actually said A, B, and C, and the end result of that is actually D, and D is actually something really important. I think it's telling about your own mindset and about how you are actually open to learning things. And the conversation that Dr. Tapp had with his Mr. Slave fellow was an interesting one. And Dr. Tapp got pissed off and was like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm not going any further." And a lot of that had to do with this. And then I had a conversation with the guy, and Dr. Tapp, I don't know if he's gone to look at it. I'm hoping he will, just because I'd like to know how far off the mark I am in my understanding. I don't really give a shit too much about this guy in particular. He seems like an honestly wanting to know stuff guy, but he's stuck on something. So he says, if it isn't easy for me to understand, it isn't true. Um, and that's nonsense. We wouldn't we wouldn't ask like a 3-year-old to understand Newton's laws of motion necessarily, but they can pick stuff up and see it fall. They can like roll a ball at something and see it hit another ball and make it move. Um, the fact that it's true, despite the fact they don't understand everything behind it, um, should show you that even an adult can be totally ignorant on a subject, and I am ignorant on a tremendous number of subjects. The number of things I don't know about will always outnumber, like, almost infinitely the things I know anything about, because we're only here for so many years, right? I don't know what the average lifespan of a human is, but it's gotta be somewhere between 75 and 100, right? In that number of years, some very, very smart people with, like, great memories and stuff might be able to get, like, multiple university level degrees and PhD level degrees, like, I've heard of people having, 3, maybe there's people with more. There's some people that are like just so smart and so able to retain information and process it that they might be able to get this over and over again. I think a lot of people end up though, the path they take is to get their PhD as sort of an entry into doing heavier and heavier work in their own field rather than going and getting multiple PhDs. Because I think having multiple PhDs doesn't necessarily make you a smarter person. I think it's important though if you move fields though, and the average intelligent person isn't going to be able to do that. There are some people that just seem to be like just mind-blowingly intellectually capable. Lord Distance says the average lifespan for humans is 70. Okay, so based on that, I've got like 22 years left. I'm hoping it'll go a little longer. I don't know, but in 22 years, I got to get my shit together, and I'm out of here. But I've always been above average in a lot of things. I'm below average in height, but I make up for that by being above average in girth. And I try to be an intelligent and thoughtful person. I try to think about what other people are working on. I try to understand it. And because this is a small tangent, but not an unimportant one. Because I work in patient advocacy, I get to talk to people that are doing research and clinical work in obesity and bariatric medicine and in diabetic medicine. And there's a lot of ignorant people that come into some of these conversations and they leave better educated. And I'm one of them. I'm one of them. Ignorance is not something to be ashamed of. If you don't realize how many things you're ignorant about, then you're just not admitting to yourself how much there is to know about our universe. And you don't even have to know about the universe. The universe is kind of a big big thing with a lot of nooks and crannies in it, a lot of bits and pieces. More important than that is what goes on in our own lives, in our own world. And, most of us are stuck here. A few people get to jump off the planet and go small distances to, some people have been to the moon. Some people have been to the International Space Station. It's some pretty cool stuff, right? It's pioneering work in humanity that we can do this research and bring ourselves somewhere. And some people are going to ask us where it's going, why it's going, like what is it that we're aiming for, And some people want to hold on to traditions so fucking hard, that they want to stop progress. And I think the people that are religiously motivated to promote ignorance are one group of people. Yeah, Lord Dissident. Yeah, and I was ignorant about the average lifespan for humans, and apparently it's 70. I know that in some countries it's higher, and in some countries it's lower. So it could be the 70 worldwide, and in some countries, because of living conditions and access to medicine and stuff, maybe it's 60, and in other countries it's 80, and it works out to be 70 overall. I also think some of the most populated countries have some of the least well-regulated social programs, and some people live in abject poverty of a kind that um, shouldn't be acceptable to humanity at this point. And there might be some science behind that, right? There's people who want to be in charge of the world. They don't really come up with a lot of solutions for some of the suffering and stuff that really shouldn't have to happen. I can complain all the time. I can complain about a lot of shit in my life, um, and none of it holds a candle to the absolute abject poverty some people find themselves living in because they've been born in a certain region of the world. And I guess maybe like you won't ever hear them complain about having to drive a truck 70 hours a week because they don't have an opportunity to do that. I think people can see looking in my camera here that I live in like a fairly decent home. My home is no palace or anything. It's a pretty nice family size home. I'm really proud to have it. I'm working hard to keep it and to pay for it, which seems like a tough job when you're like, not working. But I'm gonna get back at it. I feel like 1 to 2 weeks is my number here. I really hope I'm gonna get there. I'm trying really fucking hard to get there right now. But my thought is that if you look at what some people are living with and the conditions they live in and how terrible it is, it's pretty hard to make solid complaints, about the life you live. It can be really, really difficult to stand up and say, "Hey, this is wrong," when there's somebody that doesn't even have clean water. Um, but because there's 8 billion of us on the planet, we all need to work on making things better that are bad right now, and we have to complain about the things that are going on that are not right. And so when someone's trying to tell you bullshit about something, remember that they have some sort of an agenda, and I have an agenda too. My agenda is to get people to be nice and empathetic towards one another and understand where other people are coming from. But if your take on things is that if you don't understand what's going on, it doesn't exist, how are you even going to roll up your sleeves and try to help something happen? And I'm gonna sort of postulate here, and I hope I'm not wrong about this, but I probably am because this is somewhat rectally sourced, but it's based on my own anecdotal and an aggregate anecdotal experience of what I see going on in the world. And race came up earlier because we were talking about a racist piece of shit. Um, you know what? I've met a lot of people from a lot of different places around the world. Canada is one of those sort of mosaic countries. They say that's a nice way to say it, right? It's full of people from all around the world. Um, we have a lot of indigenous cultures here, from the Arctic down to our border with the U.S., and their cultures and their traditions and their peoples extend across the entire continent and beyond. I think both of the Americas have. indigenous cultures. I mean, obviously, I must come from an indigenous culture somewhere else, going back far enough. Um, Canada has people from all over. We have people from all parts of Europe. We have people that have been settled here for generations. I was born here. I had no control over where I was born. I can't control the color of my skin or anything like that. But what I will say is that I've met people from the Middle East. I met people from India. I've met people from Nepal. I met people from China, Japan, Thailand, Korea, from Malaysia, from Indonesia, from Australia, from New Zealand, from Samoa. Um, I've met people from all over the USA. I've met people from Mexico. I've met people from South America, places like Brazil, Chile, Argentina, Colombia, Ecuador, Venezuela. These are people that I've met and worked with in my life. And I've met people from Kenya. I've met people from Cote d'Ivoire. I've met people from um, South Africa, from Zimbabwe, from the Congo, from Sudan, from Ethiopia, from Somalia. I've met people from Israel. I've met people from Saudi Arabia. I've met people from Iran. I've met people from Iraq. I've met people from Afghanistan. I've met people from Scandinavia, which I guess is part of Europe, but many different places there. I've met people that are Danish, people that are Finnish, Norwegian, and Swedish. I've met people from Russia. I've met people from Ukraine. You know what? You know what's the interesting thing about all these people? And I've left many countries out, not because I've met people from there, but these are the ones that stick out in my mind. Is like I've met someone from there. They told me where they were from. These are pretty neat places to be from. The world's pretty fucking awesome. All these people that I've met, the one thing that we all have in common is we're all human beings. We got blood in our veins, and we want to live a reasonable life. The vast majority of these people had families. A lot of the people I meet are working people. I interact with them in construction, in particular. People from all over the world will come and work on construction projects, and people from all over the world will hire people to work on construction projects, and they'll come and work in finished construction projects on offices and schools and resorts and hotels and all the things that I've worked on, building shopping plazas. And it's one of the interesting things about shopping plazas is they'll have people from different countries will come in and they'll open up like an ethnic grocery store, say, or an ethnic restaurant, something where they're bringing their home culture, their home country to our country. It's pretty fucking amazing. I remember a woman from Lebanon feeding me lunch in her restaurant after I delivered something to her. It was a weird situation where I was working on a restaurant and she needed restaurant equipment. She bought restaurant equipment and they hired me to bring what she needed to her restaurant, and she fed me there. It was great food. You know what? She was a woman. She and her husband worked in this restaurant. They had their child was there with them, helping them, or they were looking after their child. And some of each. I mean, that's the thing. Humans around the world are not so different. You know, we grow up, we find somebody we want to fuck, we raise children with them. You know, we enjoy their company. They give us some sort of joy. We hopefully we find people in our life that we enjoy their company. We enjoy talking to them. We have sexual relationships. We have platonic relationships. We have friends. We have lovers. We have family. They're not all hopefully the same people. They'll do what you want with consenting adults. But we generally, as people, we share in common our humanity. It doesn't matter where we're from. It doesn't matter how much melanin's in our skin, which god or gods we think are the right ones. It doesn't matter which scriptures we read. It doesn't matter what books we read or what language is um, are spoken, in their home country, and how they communicate. We're all bound together by this basic humanity, and we want to make things better for ourselves and oftentimes for others. This is one thing that's true of me as I've gotten older, as I approach my 50s, and which I see coming really fast, because I turned 48 this year, and I don't know why, I'm in my late 40s now. I used to be able to pretend I was in my mid 40s, but when I went from 47 to 48, I'm like, well, holy fuck, I'm in my late 40s now. Um, and you can move the numbers around any fucking way you want to, but after living a number of decades and interacting with people all over, and without having to leave my country very often, I've traveled to Europe and the United States. That's it. I have not traveled far. The world has come to me, and it's because I grew up in Toronto, which is a really big metropolitan center in Canada. Even in North America, it's a pretty big city. Um, and people, literally people, I'd be surprised if you couldn't find amongst the sort of 5 million or so people that live in Toronto and the surrounding area, that you can find a representative from every country around the world. But I'm not 100% certain of that, but I'd be very surprised. I left out of there all the people I know from Caribbean nations that are wonderful fucking people. Some of the coolest people I've met are from the Caribbean. Look at the trees. Welcome, Tux, Jimmy. Good to see you too. And Samoans are some cool people. They don't make a small Samoan, as far as I know. That was an interesting thing, Trees, and it's because I work in advocacy for people living with obesity and bariatric medicine. People from certain South Pacific countries like Samoa, and there's a couple of others, where the populations tend to be larger on average, in terms of what we would call obesity measurements. Which is it's interesting. The genetic components are interesting. Cultural components are interesting too, because apparently they're far more accepting of people in larger bodies than we are here generally. And by here I mean like Western society, North America. There are some differences between the U.S. and Canada. Quite a few differences when you get into some of the nitty gritty, but a lot of sort of Western ideals seem to straddle white English speaking cultures, if you want to call that. Oh, here we go. Samoan. One of the bouncers at my club is Samoan. He gave me my oldest cat when she was a kitten 17 years ago. Also, single handedly stopped a gunman from coming into the club and committing as a mass shit. Sounds like a nice guy. So mommy, and you know what? A lot of us big guys, we're cuddly teddy bears until somebody crosses us or somebody we want to look after. I've very seldom done that. Your tires, and now I'm empty. Okay, you're hauling tires, Ember. My instructor, my trucking teacher, that I worked with when I upgraded from my basic commercial license to the one that allowed me to have air brakes on the trailer, which in Ontario requires taking a long course of a certain number of hours. I think it's 100 hours of classroom instruction and a bunch of hours of in-truck instruction. He was a tire hauler, and he hauled for a big tire company, and so they moved oversized rubber, and sometimes he would have like a big trailer just full of loose tires, and sometimes he'd have like stacked up ones and all sorts of stuff. And he also hauled those like giant tires for like farm and heavy equipment, which I haul actually attached to the equipment, but that's crazy. I'm gonna walk up to the table and lay it on. Let's see, empty me. If I ever get a book signed by Dan Jones, I don't know who the fuck that is. If I ever get a book signed by Dan Jones, I'm gonna walk up to the table and lay on it and say empty me. Okay. All right. Zumami, I'm not sure what that is. Is Dan Jones a great person? That's probably a literary reference that I don't know, because I don't know who Dan Jones is. At least if I do, it's not ringing a bell with me. He's a writer. Okay. Oh, me too. And an historian. Okay, cool. Sumami, you're so well read on a huge number of things. So I could take that reference as a lot of things. Either I mean, my first go to because I'm a pervert is like a sexual reference, but also it could be like just you want to sit down and tell this guy what you know, so he can keep on writing with some of your stories. Um, Maybe that's where you're going with it. I don't know. You can clarify or just leave us with the mystery because it's funny. Oh, definitely sexual. Okay. All right. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I hope that when you meet Dan, he empties you sexually, and historically, and then writes about it. I think we'd all enjoy finding out about that. Um, if you're if you're a pervert like me and you're thinking all sorts of terrible thoughts, put a mushroom in the chat. How's that sound? I don't know. I might be starting a new trend here. If you're thinking pervy, put a mushroom in the chat. I don't know if you can, but like I saw people putting mushrooms in the chat yesterday. Um, so many copies. He's married. Okay, well, yeah, it stops some people, not others. No, like so because I'm in StreamYard, I can't get anything to come up here. Anyway, I'm just reminding people to try typing mushroom. Yeah, I was in somebody else's chat yesterday, and someone kept putting mushrooms in. I think trees is suggesting like a very, very generalized perversion towards wanting to know about the story. Um, and oh man, we might be going down the wrong tube. Mushrooms remind you of Trump. Uh, yeah. I mean, we could make that a sexual reference, or we could just talk about how his mind grows stickier, smellier, and weirder as it rots in a pile of shit. Or we could just, make a funny penis reference. It'll be our fourth joke of the day. We had geometry, trucking joke. I can't remember the other one before this one, and now we have a mushroom joke, a sexual organ mushroom joke. So it's 4 jokes in one stream. If you're not having a laugh an hour with me, you're not doing it right. But yeah, remember I said a third joke. I just don't remember what the fuck it was. It obviously wasn't very good. But yeah, I think cinnamon rolls. Yeah, if mushrooms are making it like and so I wrote a new song last night. Speaking of genitalia, I wrote a new song last night which Tap says seems really weird. Um and I'm gonna maybe massage it a little bit more and see if I can like record it a couple more times. But I wrote out some lyrics for like there's already one out there called and please go check it out if you haven't already. Roger that 10-4. I'd already recorded it myself, and I've kind of like I've taken some of my old ones down, the ones I didn't think were very good at all. But yeah, my singing isn't great, so I've taken my lyrics from songs that I've written before, and I've now sort of put them up there with the AI singing, which I enjoy. And so the one is Roger that 10-4, sort of a generalized one about Roger. But then I did one. I was inspired by the Jupagina one, where he says that Jupiter's red eye is its vagina, and that Jupiter's red vagina gave birth to Venus. And I wish I had a feather. What I have is my son left this fish here. This is a prehistoric sort of aquatic creature. It kind of like its tail is sort of weird, eh? Like I forget what this thing's called. I know some erudite person in the chat is going to tell us all about this thing. But this prehistoric aquatic creature, I remember my son picking this out, and I bought it for him as a treat because he was helping me do some work a couple of years ago. My son he literally has a cabinet full of dinosaur toys. I think that maybe if I go bankrupt, it's going to be a combination of horses and dinosaur toys that I overindulge my children with. It's a Dunkelosaurus. Is that this guy? Is this guy Dunkelosaurus? No shade on Dunk the from the Shills, who I don't know very well, but I don't understand to be a terrible person or anything like that. So yeah, I don't want to. I'm not saying he looks like this. Okay, that's the important thing. Good morning, 068. 068. I'm not sure how to say that. I believe I don't know your name. But you may be here wondering what the fuck's going on at Al Trucker's place. Um, so welcome if you're new. Or maybe just someone whose name I don't remember. Because I don't remember names very well. I like that there's a number with it. It'll help. You're from India. Welcome. Welcome. Are you living in India now, or are you just from India originally, like born and raised? Because I've been talking with people from all over the place. I hope the general manager has a great day too. Or is that good morning? That's probably good morning. And welcome here. 60. Can I just call you 68? Hopefully that works. So we've been having a conversation about quote mining and about people that are trying to tell people incorrect things. Anyway, what does Sumami put up there? Is this was that a head smack about me taking GM as general manager before good morning? I don't know. I'm not very smart with these things. GM in construction, GM means general manager all the time. I don't know. General managers are their thing in construction. They're people like general managers are a very common job position in a construction company. And the GM at the GC is like this thing. I once had that title. Didn't like it. Dunk from the Shills is clearly a Yoda, yeah. Yeah, whatever a Yoda is. He's a Gorgu. Is it Gorgu? Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. Anyway, good morning, and good afternoon, 68. I can only imagine it's afternoon in India right now, if that's where you are. But many people from India live around the world, so we have no idea where you're at. But welcome. This may not be your cup of tea, but yeah. Amber Heard. I'm loud. I'm a loud motherfucker. I bet Amber did here. So my title today was In Cahoots, Incoherent, Insulated, Insomnia, and Zaphods' cute sister. And yeah, I was very impressed. I was very impressed with my AI sort of happenstance yesterday. But yesterday I made my new. I think I mentioned at the beginning of the stream. I made a new anti MLM song from an old song I wrote like months ago. And it's up there. I do recommend it. I think it's fun and funny. And the AI art I got for it worked out pretty well, I think, about my sort of anti-pyramid scheme, anti-MLM. And DC, every night, DC comes on. She sees me in her chat if I'm there, which I am not all the time, but a lot of the time. She's like, "We're gonna do a stream together," and I want to get her to do it before I go back to work, because once I go back to work, it'll be so hard to have the energy and the time to do a stream. But she does a lot of her streaming late in the day, so we'll have to see. But I'd love to bring DC here to explain what MLM is to the people that watch me, because I think there's a lot of overlap and intersectionality with it, but I think people don't necessarily know what it is, or they think they know what it is, but they don't understand all the nitty gritty details. And if you're interested in that, I will try to get DC on. And DC's good at she's good at hyping stuff up ahead of time, and she has a lot of followers, so it may bring a lot of people to the community. It's already brought people to my community already. Tori, who you see in chat often, is from her community, and there's a woman named Julie something from there. There's so many wonderful people, and there's other people that just come and see me from the outside world. Although most people that know me in real life don't come here because they know how weird I am, and they know this is going to get super weird. But yeah, this MLM thing is where it's a really weird thing. So there's like sort of there's two main layers of it. The first one is getting people to sign up to be part of the pyramid scam. And then their job is to sign, like, they make it sound like, well, you're going to sell these people this product. But the main thing is you sign up other people to sell the product. So you keep on hiring people, basically. You sign people up. You don't have to pay them. They pay you. They pay you to be your employee. But you're never actually an employer. You're never a real business, right? But you sign up, and the sooner you sign up for the pyramid scam, the more likely you are to get paid out a whole bunch of money. And then your job is to just get a bunch of people in there shoving money up the line, right? It's very clearly a triangle. Well, Amber, it depends on how long they've been around for. So some of the well-known ones, in multi-level marketing, or what's the other euphemism they use for pyramid scheme? It's direct sales. Direct sales is the other one they use. It's not multi-level marketing. It's direct sales. Yes, that is the least direct way to put it. Mushrooms are a good source of vitamin D. All right. Well, you know what? If you get the right mushroom, it can be a good source of protein. Take that any which way you want to, but I blame Sumami for bringing it up in the first place. That's the fifth joke. Fifth joke. Okay, I'm leaving it. I'm leaving it at that. That may or may not be a joke. So this MLM thing. So it's kind of this weird thing, and I was also watching this other woman. Oh fuck! I'm so terrible with names. Joe something. I'm gonna find it because like I really want to I want to share both shows, and actually I want to figure out a way. Just how do I look at my history? That's what I want to look at. I look at my history because then I can find this woman I watched yesterday and I can pin her show, and I'll pin DC in here too somehow. Oh, I forgot to talk about that buddy there too. He's not super. I'll share this one. So this is DC. This is DC show. This is just one of her shows, but if you go here, you'll find some. And here we go. And this is the other woman. This is it, Julie Anderson. So another Julie. So and I am a person named Julie made a comment, but Julie is such a common name. I don't know if it's her or a different Julie, but a woman named Julie made a comment on one of my videos. So and then I want to look at my own look at my videos. This is how I do it. I look at my own videos. This is it. This is it right here. I got 100% likes. This is how I go. I got a shareable link. Okay, I got a shareable link. Now I can post this one, paste this one. Okay, so I'm shilling for myself here on this one. Okay, so this anti-MLM stuff has been something that's been blowing my mind that it exists. And one of the interesting things is, and no shade to the people who do these shows, is I have zero interest in MLM as something that I would ever get into, and I've never done it, but I know people that have done it. My uncle was in Amway for a bit. I don't think he stuck around too long. I think he was hoping it would work out, but I think he was way too late into the game. But it was many years ago. So some of the famous ones are things like Amway, Tupperware. Avon became that, but wasn't always. There's this Bomb Party one that's relatively new. There's Isogenics. There's Shakely or Shackley. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. That's one that I saw an ad for. It's apparently old, but they're doing like this big sort of push now. There's this travel one. I think it's called Nilo Life. It's travel and protein powders. It's like so weird. And then so you'll see some of the imagery I use in my song here. I have like an airplane made of dollar bills. I have a woman she's basically like sinking in a bath, and it's protein powder and credit cards and dollar bills. And then I have burning dollar bills going down the drain. Anyway, hopefully you'll watch this video and enjoy it. So if you click on that bottom link, that's where it'll take you. The other two people are people I've watched in the anti-MLM space. The tactics that are used are wild. And so Julie was doing a show showing there was a television program, or it was meant to be a television program that I don't know if it aired on like regular TV, but I think it was aired on Prime and or Netflix. Apparently it's available. Kristen Dunst was in it, and she's I don't know if she's a great person or not, but she's I remember her being a cute blonde lady in Dick, which is a movie about Richard Nixon, sort of, that was made a long ass time ago. and that was the first time I ever remember like seeing her and like sort of recognizing her name. And then I think she was in the Spider-Man um movies, with the ones that were with the guy from the horse movie, Toby Maguire. The horse movie, that's anti MLM. Yes, you should need Ember. That would be great. I'd love to see you do that. Anti MLM. That would work for you. And in Canada, like we have an author here who's really famous called Lucy Maud Montgomery, or LM Montgomery. Well, most people call her Lucy Maud. But a lot of the signage for, like, she lived and did visits and stuff around Ontario and Prince Edward Island. And I've traveled to Prince Edward Island a bunch of times. I've been to like what's supposed to be like her museum or whatever. But she wrote this book called Anne of Green Gables and some other ones that are that go with it. It's about this young ginger girl that is adopted by accident by this family and works on their farm and becomes a teacher and falls in love with a guy who's a bit of a dickhead, but he turns out to be all right. His name is Gilbert Blythe. So Gilbert Blythe marries Anne Shirley, and yeah, it's kind of like a Canadian institution. Not something I would ever choose to read based on my own interest, but I read it, and it's been made into a bunch of TV shows here. It's kind of like this like wild thing. It's like why would this one book about this girl, this orphan girl who grows up on a farm, I think she's maybe like something like 12 when she's adopted, and she like basically becomes a young woman in these books. People like coming of age stuff, but like a sort of late 19th century coming of age book in Prince Edward Island about this redheaded girl who's an orphan. It's not something I would choose to read if that's how you like sold it to me. But it's kind of a fun book. It's got some ups and downs. There's some funny stuff that happens in it. And it's a Canadian institution. And I've traveled more than once. I've traveled to the Green Gables Museum, and I took my kids there a few years ago. We had fun. My son and my daughter both dressed up as Anne, and they have a thing where you can take your picture dressed up as Anne from the book, and they have like a wig and a hat and the carpet bag and everything. It's hilarious. I should have done it too. I don't know why I didn't. And so, mommy, when I read it, I was probably in my I might have been about Anne's age when I read it. It's meant for young girls, yeah. More people regret MLM than a lot of medical procedures. Redheaded orphan Annie. Well, yeah, I know. So this is a different redheaded orphan. Redheaded orphans are apparently like a big thing. And as a ginger myself, I'm like, I stand with the gingers. I'm just joking. I stand with everybody. Like I was saying before, I stand with humanity. I'm here to support people. That's kind of my reason for coming on here and talking to people. I want people to think about what's really important and think about where you're getting your information from. And think about who you're listening to and what they're telling you. Like when I read a comment from somebody who's like, if you haven't figured out that people are lying to you, like in 2024, you're fucked. That was their point. And it's like, no, I know that. It's just they're not the people you think they are. NASA is not lying to us about going to space. That's not a thing. That's not what we got to worry about. What you got to worry about is the people that are lying to you, like the people that are pissing on your face and telling you it's raining. They're the people you got to worry about. Scientific exploration and research is going to get us places that we probably need to go. And there's a lot of big issues in the world, and as a truck driver, I'm not going to fucking solve them. Was it an anti-Irish trope? Remember, like, and I'm very Irish. I'm Irish and German. Okay, there's a little bit of English in my heritage, in my genetics. English, Irish, Scottish, but a lot of it's Irish. Big chunk of Irish, big chunk of German. Mostly Mennonite German. Viva la Revolution. Yes. You know what, Lord? There's been a lot of revolutions, and the funny thing about revolutions is every time there's a revolution, one dictator gets dropped out and another one seems to get installed somehow, and that's a cycle we need to stop. And I think we're in the Western world, we have at least a semblance of democracy, and I don't like seeing democracy torn apart. And I don't like seeing people lied to about what's really going on. And I think like the lies that I believe are out there are mostly in politics. And the biggest lie any of us are told is to hate each other. When we should hate the people that are, trying to crush us with their boots and take everything that we work hard for. And I know that makes me sound like some sort of commie fucking weirdo. I'm okay. I'm okay with that. You can call me a commie if you want to. What I would like to see is a situation where, and I know this is gonna sound just fucking revolutionary. I'm gonna YouTube will take me down when I say this, but I think that the working people deserve more respect and more control of the resources than they have. And so what I think is that if profit is important for corporations, then profit is important for people. I know that sounds fucking terrible. And I know I'm gonna just fucking knock people's fucking socks off when I say that it shouldn't be a fucking revolutionary, fucking wild thing for me to say that if I work 70 some odd hours a week driving a truck, that I should be able to afford to pay for my mortgage, my food, a little bit of entertainment, and have decent clothing, heat, and some entertainment. Like this just basic shit living in North America. That should not be a fucking wild, fucking revolutionary statement to say that me being able to afford to pay my bills and live in the world that I live in, the world I was born into, that shouldn't be a fucking wild thing. And it is. Apparently, that's fucking wild. That's fucking like just off the fucking chain for people to expect that. We could, Ember. Ember, I vote that you do it because you're so fucking erudite and you're the antithesis of ignorance. Ember, if you haven't met this lady, you got to check out Ember. She's with it. She knows what's going on. You are with me. Thank you, Victoria. I am Victoria's here, and Victoria says I am with you all. Yeah. Look, I know it sounds crazy, right? And there's a lot of anti-union rhetoric. There's a lot of anti-human rhetoric, right? So people telling you that the Earth is a globe. Well, first of all, nobody's fucking telling you the Earth is a globe. The Earth is a fucking globe. The Earth is a globe. It's not flat. There is no ether. It's been disproven. There's just that's just not how the universe works. We may find out more things about things we don't know all about. Dark energy, dark matter. Those are things we don't know all about. Black holes. They're somewhat mysterious, but people are studying them. I recommend highly that you check out Becky Smethurst. Dr. Becky Smethurst does a show. It's called Dr. Becky. You need to check her out. She's fucking awesome. She studies black holes, and she does a weekly. I'm pretty sure it's weekly show. And I think she's in England somewhere. She might be English. Regardless, she speaks with a cute accent and everything, so you're going to enjoy listening to her because like she's lovely. But she tells basically news in astronomy and cosmology. And science in general, and she like talks about oftentimes she does show on her own research, which is directly related to black holes. And Dr. Becky's fantastic. Highly recommend that you learn from her. Lord Distance says, without an ether, there's nothing for the Force to work through. I'm going to go on a limb, Lord, and say the Force is EMR, and it envelops the entire galaxy, and possibly the entire universe. I don't know if the Force can work between galaxies. That's something that I haven't researched, but I do believe that in a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, that there is a Force. And I believe that a tiny little green guy and a robot with like 17 arms and an awesome orange chick with like hair that looks like tentacles could use this Force, and a bunch of other guys in burlap sacks. They were all fucking great fucking sword men and women. They were fucking kicking it. All right. Now, despite that fact, we're here in our galaxy doing our own shit, and there's a lot of hardworking people in our society. And there's a lot of people who can't work for one reason or another. I'm one of them right now. It's the first time in my life I haven't worked. I don't think I've ever been like unemployed since I was 12, and I'm not really unemployed. I have a job to go back to. I called them last week and said I'm hoping 2 weeks or so I'll be back at it. And yesterday I thought I was gonna fall off the fucking side of the earth. I was having such a rough day. I had like a major sugar drop. My I hadn't taken my regular medication in the morning, and I was just way off my fucking game yesterday. Today I feel better. I'm like I was gonna stop this show like over an hour ago, and I'm like I'm just keeping on going, and I can't believe people are still here watching. Because people should probably be like checking out like really great YouTubers because there's some amazing ones out there. Chris on the Daily Atheist Morning Show, whether you watch it live or watch it later, does a great show. And so does Brentley, the punk apostate. Brentley does a great show, and I'm often on at the same time as them, and I apologize for being on top of them, but I just I do the show when I have the energy and the time, and that's where I'm at now. I'm gonna go see my therapist this afternoon. Haven't seen her in many, many months. And I've got a lot going on in my brain. I got to deal with it. I've been like spewing out some of my shit here, but we need to work together as humanity for the betterment of humanity. And thinking about these big issues makes me think about the small issues too. Like I have to look after my family. I have to make sure that my family has food, clothing, shelter, and that my kids are getting educated and get a chance to fucking get somewhere in life. I want my kids to have a better life than I had. And my life hasn't been that fucking bad. But I've had to work pretty fucking hard to get by. I've had to put a lot of hours in to just make it in society. When I was in my own business, I never had a fucking break, which is why I retired from construction, I guess over 3.5 years ago. My health was so bad I had to do something. I was in the hospital at that time, and I came out. It only took me a few days to get out of the hospital, but I was fucked, and I needed to do something different. I'm really glad I did. I love trucking. I got to say that I love trucking. Oh, look at the trees. My workplace suddenly has decided to cut my hours and refuse to tell me why or fire me, but they hired 2 new people. That's so. You know what? Trees. I can explain this to you, even though I don't live or work where you are. The reason this works. This is something bean counters do. Bean counters have one job, and that is to get more beans sitting in the bank account and more beans coming in. They're the same thing. And more like better than more beans coming in is less beans going out. Oh, did Brentley start a show? Okay, awesome. Well, go check out Brentley. You know what? I've been going for almost 2 hours, so I'll wrap up at the 2-hour mark. That's in 3 minutes. Because I want to finish this point. But what often happens, Trees, is the way hours are structured is that part-time employees cost less than full-time employees. So part-time employees don't need benefits. They don't have to be paid as much. They don't have to be given as many hours, and they don't need to be given as many breaks and this, that, and the other thing. So it can be cheaper to have 3 part-time employees than 1 full-time employee. Yeah, and if they fire you, they have to pay for the unemployment or whatever, right? So unemployment here works a little bit differently. I pay for my own unemployment. I've been paying insurance premiums for years, many, many years. I've been paying into unemployment. First time I ever collected is now. So I don't feel fucking bad about it at all. And actually, they said it's over, so I got to reapply or whatever. That's the next thing I'm going to do this morning. I'm going to call them up and find out what I need to do. And I got to go see my doctor anyway. So if I need a fucking note from her, I'll get one. And hopefully I can make it work. But I think I'm almost back. But the thing is, like, if I don't work for this week and part of next week, I have no money coming in for that. Like the last payment I get is for ending last Friday, basically. And the system just assumes you work Monday to Friday, which is fine. You just talk about the hours you're missing. Yeah, it's fucking wild. Get your benefits. Yeah, you know what? I've paid into it for my whole fucking life. I'm okay taking it. I'm totally okay taking it. I pay what I pay in taxes. I'm okay with. So we don't get free healthcare here. I want to make it clear to people we don't get free healthcare. If I work for a certain number of hours, I'm going to use round numbers. I'm not going to use numbers from my own paycheck because it doesn't make sense because my paycheck fluctuates because some weeks I'll work 62 hours, some weeks I'll work 70 hours, some weeks I'll work 55 hours. Some weeks I work 65 hours. It changes. So there's like this fluctuation. But I pay money into a group benefits plan for medical and disability insurance. I pay money into a government program for employment insurance, which is what I'm on right now. We call POGI, or being on the dole. The dole is actually, I think, maybe when you're on welfare. I can't remember, but it's my POGI check, right? Like, Canada has some weird fucking slang for government assistance. But yeah, you can be on the dole, you can be on POGI. I think I'm on POGI, and we've hit 2 hours, so I'm gonna wrap it up here and just say, my taxes take, at the end of the day, by the time I pay my employment tax, so like employment tax benefits, Social Security, or I think you call it Social Security in the States. It's like our Canada pension plan. We pay in all these things, and the taxes themselves, and the taxes we pay sales tax, we pay gas tax, we pay home heating bills have tax on them. Groceries don't have tax on them. It's like pretty much the only thing in my province. Some provinces don't tax children's clothing, which I think is a fucking good idea. I actually think a lot of things shouldn't be taxed that are, and like things like feminine hygiene products should not be taxed. Um, and there's probably other things too that are like that. It's just there's certain things the government shouldn't profit from, and the government should maybe assist more with. Um, but the government provides me with roads to drive on. They finally do some garbage pickup at my house, and they've always taken the recycling, which is great. And that's a whole nother thing. I'll probably do a show about like where we have to go with the science of conservation and green, what we call green stuff. But like green stuff isn't bad. People are trying to make it bad. Like that's a lie. People are telling you is that doing things to help conserve energy and resources is a bad thing. Conserving them and using them better and making better science with what we've got is a place we should go. It's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of input of cash resources, but the end result will be good for humanity. But yeah, they take a lot of money from me. So like, let's say they owe me $2,000 for a week's work. I'm using round numbers. They probably would pay me $1,300 of that, and it would come on my paycheck. And then as I go through my week, about $200 of that is going to disappear in taxes on money that I spent. So nearly half of it there. And then at the end of the year, the government assesses me more taxes, usually to say I didn't pay enough in tax. My company didn't do it right. Or I owe them for this or that, or because I couldn't write off this or that. And then there's like this whole thing, and I have to pay. I pay a lovely woman who has worked with me for many years, who knows her way around the tax system. I pay her a couple $100, and she works out all the ins and outs of it. But I usually owe them a few $1,000s at least at the end of the year. So if that had been taken off properly, basically 50% of the money I make goes to taxation here. I should do all the math and see where it goes, but between taxes, and there are some benefits in there, which is fair. Like maybe you don't call them a tax, but some of them you never collect on. Like if I hadn't gotten sick, I might have made my whole career without ever going on POGI. My wife only ever took it when she was on maternity leave, and it's set up to do that, to give you a maternity leave. It's a good system. We should do that. We should have paternity and maternity leave. And I think what we should do is, if we're going to tax people and have them work, we should have people work for enough money that they can afford to pay taxes into a system. And it's not wrong. This is where I sound like a communist. Is we should have enough money to pay all of our bills. We should be able to live a comfortable life. If we're working hard, if you're working 70 hours a week and can't pay all the fucking bills, because either A, you're paying too much in taxation, or B, you're just not being remunerated well enough for your efforts in the first place, there's a fucking problem with society, right? And I'm cool with taxes. Like, I want my children to get an education. I need roads to drive on to do my job. I need roads to drive on to get to my job. And my job, one of the biggest contracts that my job deals with is building and maintaining public transportation infrastructure, which is good for everyone. Public transportation helps conserve resources. It helps bring people into city centers to do their jobs and go back to where they live. It also helps people travel between centers to do things that need to be done. And people do all sorts of important jobs in our society. Some of them seem more important than others, but most people's jobs are pretty important. And some of them are really sort of viscerally understood, and some of them are not. But most people that are going to work are working on something that's important. And I brought up this MLM thing because those are people that are trying to have a job, doing something, selling people a product. Like a lot of people get into I'm going to sell this product that people love. That's great. And that's how they hype it up, right? And I want DC to come in here and explain this. But that's not a real job. Like you're working really hard at something and you might have some money coming in. But the people that are making money are at the top and you're really just pushing money up to them. You're never really bringing money into yourself. When I ran a business, I was selling goods and services to people as a construction company. And that's something that was a real business because I would gather up things, basically labor and materials, and expert labor and materials from subtrades. And I would put all of that together and I'd sell it to someone. And let's say I did a $1 million job. Well, maybe my company could keep, I'm going to say something like $100,000 from that. Maybe 10% came back into the company. And a chunk of that went into running the company. A big chunk of that went into running the company. But at the end of the day, I had a paycheck. My partner had a paycheck. Our workers had paychecks. And for what they did, the taxes were paid on the money we made. Most of the money went out the door to pay for a bunch of other stuff, right? So mommy, I'm gonna touch on that because this is an important point, and I would love to have DC come on and talk about this. And I'm pretty sure it was a Mormon I was arguing with yesterday. This guy called Nathan, who's a flat earther and I think he's a earth creationist. He believes God did everything. Believes God is awesome. And the conversation I had with him was one-sided. He was saying a bunch of crazy shit about Aaron Ra, and I was saying he was fucking wrong in his side chat, and then his stream abruptly ended. I'm assuming it was a connectivity issue. But he started answering some of my questions and commentaries, and then it just ended. I've seen the guy stream before. He doesn't have good internet. His name is Pitch Lumen. It's kind of funny. So the reason why Mormons and actually religious, so MLMs encourage people who are religious to join, and they encourage them to take it to their congregations. And there is some evidence that people that are devoutly religious, people that believe in Mormonism, people that believe in Christianity, people that believe in any branch of it, even people that believe in Islam and other things like that. Sorry, I'm having some issues with my my chest congestion here, so I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna end the stream. I promised to do it 8 minutes ago now, and I didn't fucking do it. I'm gonna touch on this. I'd love to have DC come on, and I hope she will. I'll send her a link to this so she can. I'll just say listen to the last 2 minutes where I say let's get DC on here to tell us about MLMs. But people that are already believers in something like religion tend to believe the sales pitches of MLMs at a greater frequency than people in the general public. I read that somewhere. I don't want to quote mine it. I don't want to undermine the entire thing that I started my show about, but it's something that seems to be true. It's something that I think is not funny because people that make bad decisions and have bad ideas for religious reasons are causing people real pain and real harm. And so when people come up to people like me that are having trouble paying all their bills, or anyone else, and they're like, "Well, you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps." I'm like, look at trees getting their hours cut back. Well, what do you think the chances are that trees has bills that? And trees, I'm not calling you out on this. I'm saying you're a regular working person, right? Trees also a tremendous artisan. And has a great channel. And Trees, please go ahead and put your link in the chat if you so desire. Anyone can. And in fact, if you have something you want to tell people about, I want to spread the word. But and I can't even remember what Trees' vocation is. I know it. And he might tell us again. But he's working at something, right? He's working at something. He's working hard. I know Somami works very hard at her job too. And these jobs are important. And people will say, well, like, you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. So it's like, what is pulling yourself up by your bootstraps more than getting your ass to work and making enough money to pay your bills? It's like the people that say, like, riches come from hard work and ingenuity. This is a quote. I've said this quote many times before. I'm gonna try to look it up right now really quickly. Um, um, this no, this is different. Um, no, it's giving. You know what? It's giving me the wrong fucking shit. It's kind of funny. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. I typed in the hard work and ingenuity quote. So the quote is something along the lines of, I may be misquoting it ever so slightly, but if hard work and ingenuity were the path to financial success, every woman in Africa would be a goddamn millionaire. And it's somewhat hyperbolic because I'm sure there's a couple of lazy women in Africa. There's a couple of lazy women everywhere. Who the fuck cares? There's a lot of lazy men in the world too. But the thing is, what are they calling lazy? Like, what is it that they're trying to say? Because the fact of the matter is, most of us, the vast majority of people, are working their asses off to get by. And we're being told to hate each other for really, really ridiculous reasons, right? Like, I'm being told I shouldn't like Trees and Tsunami because they live in America. And look at the Americans. Aren't they a bunch of stupid people? They vote for that clown Trump. Well, I'm not 100% sure. I don't think Trees or Tsunami are voting for Trump. But people here are like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? It's like, well, they're buying a lie. They're buying something from somebody. But Trump keeps telling them to be afraid of outsiders, right? Oh fuck, Tsunami. I beseech you now. Just go look at porn or something. Don't waste your time going down that Reddit rabbit hole. You're gonna end up not having a good time. Or the wrong kind of good time, Like, just there's way better uses of the internet, Um, the reason I bring up this point about the things people say about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps is the vast majority of us have already pulled ourselves up, and boots don't have straps much anymore. But most of us are doing the damnedest that we can. 8 billion people in the world, a small number of them hoard most of the wealth. A lot of the wealth is kind of like theoretical. It's complicated. Economics is complicated. Economic systems are complicated. And they're complicated in a lot of ways to just sort of obfuscate from people what's really going on. But I tell you what, we've tried trickle down economics for a long ass time. And I've decided that they're pissing on my face and telling me it's raining. Why don't we see if it trickles up? Because I think it will. Think about this. Think about this if you own a business. I say this often. People don't usually believe me. But I worked in a business that did 99% of its business, maybe more. It's probably 99.9% of the business I did was 2 other businesses. I provided construction services to build things that were used in commercial enterprise, if you will. So it was called commercial construction. And I listed off a bunch of them before, but just to give you like a flavor of what this is. Offices and office towers. I never built office towers from the ground up. I built other buildings from the ground up. Never an office tower. But think about like shopping plazas, parking structures, parking lots. Think about factories and warehouses. Think about resorts and hotels. Think about think about even apartment complexes. Think about government buildings, government offices, government facilities. Think about like public swimming pools, public schools, public daycares. All of these things are considered commercial, even if they're government run. And then there's institutional, so things like prisons, jails, court systems, and other sort of government-run institutions. So a lot of times we'll divide the work up into like like commercial, industrial, institutional. Those are words that are used in my previous vocation. Well, in those businesses, you can get the ridiculous impression that your client is something other than what it is, right? Like, let's just say, to use something that I interact with, let's say you build a cat dealership for Caterpillar construction equipment. Well, you think your business is doing business with the Cat Corporation, right? And I won't get into like the structure of that corporation or anything. It's just I move a lot of cat equipment, so I'm using it as an example. Well, the dealership is an independent business, but it's a business, right? There's people that own it and work at it, and they buy, essentially what they do is they buy the Caterpillar equipment and they service it, and they buy it from the Caterpillar company and they sell it to people out there and they make a profit on it. And those people are mostly businesses, relatively few independent personal people, like in their own name. Like Al Trucker does not go into a cat dealership and say, "Here is $1 million. I would like 2 excavators, and please deliver them to this address." That doesn't happen very often, right? I don't. People like me don't just like buy a giant piece of equipment that costs $500,000 and park it in their yard and just play in the dirt. If I had a lot of money, I might, because that's the kind of weirdo I am. But that's just not the way it happens. But Al Trucker Inc. might if I was in an excavating company, which I'm not. Well, let's just say, for the sake of argument, if I did that. But I would have to work for other people, and I could end up working for, let's say I bought a Caterpillar excavator and I start digging foundations for people's homes. And I'm working for ABC Home Corporation, and ABC Home Corporation pays me. So I think I work for the ABC Home Corporation. ABC Home Corporation pays me and all the other subtrades to build these homes. And who do they sell them to? You gotta like put the chain together. So John and Jane Doe, who hopefully aren't dead, but John and Jane Doe, they got married. They have a 3-year-old. They're looking for a home. They've been living in a 1-bedroom apartment. It's getting crunched, and they've saved up some money. And where do they go? They go to the ABC Home Corporation. They're like, "Look at this beautiful townhouse here that was built." And they go to the bank and they do business with the bank, and the bank says, "You know what? Thank you. You've brought some money. You brought 100,000. This home costs 500,000. Here's 400,000. You're going to pay us $800,000 back, but you're going to do it over 30 years. And here's your mortgage, and here's your keys, and here's your home." And John goes to work, Jane goes to work, and they spend money on their way to work. They both buy a car from a car dealership. That money goes to the car companies. The car dealership takes some money. The car delivery company takes some money. Like, there's a chain here, right? Where's that fucking money coming from? Where's the money to pay for the cat excavators come from, to build the cat dealership, to even build the cat factory? The money that Cat spent, the money that Caterpillar Corporation brought in to build the fucking machines to go out and mine the quarries and the underground mines and do the work to build roads that take people places, to take John and Jane to work in their cars that they bought at the car dealership. The money comes from the working people. They pretend they have the money, but we have the money. The working people have the money. We make it from a whole bunch of different places, right? We take that money and we put it back into the fucking economy. We spend money on our gas and diesel to get to work, and then we run whatever we run. Some of us sit in an office. Some of us sit on a bed. Some of us sit on a truck seat, like me. Some of us are in a factory putting shit together, right? No matter what we do, we're sitting at a desk, we're sitting at a computer, we're doing all sorts of fantastic things to make the fucking world go round. The money's coming from us. It's not coming from them. They invest money in it because they're trying to move the money. But think of how that money has to move. The money's got to trickle up from us. And our governments keep taking the money they take from me. And I'm talking about this money, or like half of my paycheck. So let's say I work for $2,000 and I end up with $1,000 left in my pocket. And that $1,000 goes out to my rent, my food, and just everything out the fucking door. I forgot about property taxes. That's where some of it goes too. They just raised my fucking property taxes for nothing. And they're talking about raising it another 10 or 12%. You know what I'm not getting this year? A 12% raise at work. And I'm not even saying they should give me one because I'm not sure that my company's getting paid that much money. Trucking's not having a great time, just generally right now. The economy's a little crunched. It happens. And when the economy crunches, like rich people love it. Rich people love it. They start bringing in their fucking dollars. Economy's a weird fucking thing. But if you think about it, a lot of people that think their clients are businesses, if you put all the fucking pieces together, their clients are working people. Working people paying the fucking bills. So when you work for government, you're working for taxpayers. When you're working for a corporation, you're working for their customers. And their customers ultimately end up being people. Even if you can't put the fucking chain together in your own mind, if you're there working and you think like people, like, cause I deliver equipment to equipment repair places, and they're lovely fucking people. I got to say, some of the nicest people I meet are in the big dealerships. For the big equipment dealerships are, they're often quite nice and gregarious people to work with and talk to. Anyway, yeah, Sumami's figuring out some shit there. It's a fucking rabbit hole. Sumami, I think we're friends on Discord. So if DC's coming on, I'm gonna try to make a point of letting you know. And Zach, you might not still be around, but Zach will let you know if I'm doing an astrophysics show, and maybe I can get some people like Rob Parks might come on. Rob's a good guy. I've talked to him a few times. I think Rob would come and have a chat with me, maybe. You might remember talking. Rob was on Bad Science Sunday like a month or two or so ago. Dr. Tapioca Weasel definitely I'd love to have on and just have a chat. So, and DC, who knows a lot, because DC was in the MLMs and then she became anti-MLM. And one of it's kind of a mind fuck because she was talking the other day about how she realizes like when she was in the MLM, she was doing things that weren't good for people, and she feels bad about it, because she was doing things that weren't the right thing to do. Anyway, I have rambled for a long ass fucking time. I appreciate people that come by and listen to me. I don't know if what I'm saying is connecting with people. I don't know if people understand what I'm getting at, but you are being told lies, and then lies you're being told is that your neighbors are trying to take your job away from you. They're not. Tree's employer is trying to take his job away from him. The people that are working against you are the people that are thinking on short-term gains and not long-term benefits to society. And I want to benefit the society I live in. My children are young. My daughter's in high school. My son is he'll be in high school next year. The end is in sight for their elementary education, if you will. Their basic education. And then they're going to go on to something else, I hope. I want to be able to afford to put them into it. I want to give them a good start in life. And that's hard to do if the economy is working against me and telling me that my problem is I'm not smart enough. I'm not ingenious enough. I'm not working hard enough. I fucking feel that pretty hard when I'm off sick. I feel pretty fucking terrible about it. But at the same time, I work damn hard. At 48 years old, I started working full-time hours when I was 17. I was still going to high school for a couple of years after that. But I was putting in full-time hours in construction, but 40-some-odd hours a week, which is only full-time hours for regular people. But that's what I could do along with high school. It was a lot of fucking work. That's why I got used to working in 100-hour weeks. 80-hour weeks, 85-hour weeks, 100-hour weeks. I once worked for 36 hours straight, except for taking like a couple of naps in my truck for a couple of hours because a bunch of shit needed to be done over the course of a weekend. It was fucking brutal. And that was when I was younger, and I realized how stupid that was, and I should have insisted that we just hire like 5 more people to get the fucking job done. And it would have been better done instead of me doing all the fucking stuff with one guy helping me if I'd been there like organizing it, because I'm pretty good at organizing shit like that. I know I seem like really, really like disorganized, but my disorganization, I was not the best contractor ever. I'm not claiming I was. I knew a lot about what was going on, and I knew what needed to be done. And I was pretty good at organizing people and finding ways to get shit done that seemed impossible. And thinking outside of the box a little bit, which is a terribly hackneyed expression. But a lot of times you got to think about doing things in a way that isn't traditional, and sometimes you got to do it the exact right way, and you got to know when to do which one. And sometimes in construction, like, you got to try something, and if it stops working the way you need it to, you just find another fucking way to do it. Right? I just got a Reddit notification. It makes me think like Tsunami's trying to become my friend on Reddit. I don't fucking know. I hope she is. You never fucking know. I've never had a friend on Reddit, so I don't know how that works. But I find it funny that Tsunami's talking about Reddit, and all of a sudden my Reddit notification comes up. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna say goodbye to everybody. I've gone on way too long. I haven't accomplished much today, but I hope that if you're listening to people that quote mine, that you go look at the whole quote. If you're listening to people that tell you that the person next to you, because their skin is pale like mine, hates you, they're fucking wrong. There are some that do, but I think it's very few. I think most people know that people are good. I think people get some really fucked up ideas in their heads. And if you're a person with pale skin like mine and you're afraid of somebody with slightly darker skin coming and taking your job, I wouldn't fucking worry about it, because you know what? You know what happened when the economy started getting fucked up during the COVID thing and people wouldn't go to work? People started begging people to come to work. You know why? Because you can't make money if nobody's doing it. Fuck all. So we should take the power we have as employees and just be reasonable. I do not, and this is not a slag on my own employer. I want to make that clear. I don't think they know that I do anything like this. And I'm not naming them. I don't really want to. I don't actually think they're a bad employer at all. I like working there a lot. I want to make that clear. But they pay the going rate, right, for drivers. And the thing is, with the cost of everything going up, eventually everything needs to go up, and it doesn't do anybody any good, really. Inflation isn't really good for anybody because it makes it really hard to get by. It raises interest rates, so borrowing money becomes more difficult. It raises the level of taxation because governments are overspending to try and make shit happen. And there is a quote, I think it's attributed to Winston Churchill, about economics. Or trying to spend yourself out of economic woes is like standing in a bucket and trying to lift yourself up to the next floor by pulling up on the handle. See you later, Lord. Thank you for coming by. I appreciate people sticking around. And I am literally wrapping this right up. If somebody's telling you to be wary of your neighbor, and your neighbor isn't like actually building a bomb in their backyard, your neighbor's probably waking up in the morning, little bleary-eyed, trying to make some coffee, get their kids up and out the door to school, get themselves out to work, or staying home to work. People work from home a lot now. People work on computers, do shit like what I'm doing here, except that they're getting something done. I really hope that what people take from the work I do is have a little bit of a laugh at some of the silly shit people say, but also take seriously the people that are trying to separate you from your money, to steer democracy in a way that isn't democratic, to take away from you your feeling of adequacy in just doing a good job at what you do in life, raising your children if you have them, at being a good neighbor, at being a good pet parent like Somnia is, and people do so many great things, right? There's so many wonderful things people do in our economy. And then there's like these few things like this MLM thing that gives people this idea that like they're going to make a whole bunch of money. That's just stealing money from people. And the products are generally garbage, and it's generally a waste of money and a waste of time. And that's what I love of DC here, because the intersection of bad ideas in religion, bad ideas in an MLM, bad ideas, the culty sort of nature of it, and it's a fraud, it's a con, and the cons rely on people not checking in the shit and finding out the whole story. And sound like a flat earther. Do your own research. Well, don't do your research on YouTube. Listen to me right now. Do your research by checking into things for real. Find out what was really said. Find out what the context of what was said. And don't take the advice of people that are in it for the money. Take the advice of people that are in it to make society better. That's what I'm here for. I need to make a living too, but I'm going to drag hose all over the place. When I get back to work, I'm going to love doing that. They might give me other work to do. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking care. I want to get my truck back on the road. I want to hear that Detroit diesel purring in the morning. Hopefully a few more days of recovery will do it. Yesterday, 45 minutes on the treadmill. I want to say that. I'm proud of that. Today, I'm going to do more treadmill and some weightlifting. Goodbye, everyone. I love you all for coming and hearing what I have to say. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.